7H technology update. Mr. Casillas.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. While everybody has been working away on the assessment, technology has been very busy with maintaining the networks and doing a lot of things that our kids require for technology-based instruction. So I just want to give you a few of the highlights of the things that we have done just recently. We have our technology staff. We have done some network upgrades that I'm going to point out to you this evening. We have done a lot of work with our wireless infrastructure in certain of the campuses. We have also done the email migration to Office 365. We still continue to support technology every day. We have developed different technology plans for the state and then for different initiatives here locally. And then we're planning the Jewel for this coming year, a one-to-one initiative that you will hear more about in a little bit. And I have the areas that are assigned to me by Dr. Rios. I help to supervise the Career and Technical Education Department, as you saw, Mr. Gonzalez. Also, I have the Instructional Technology Coordinator. I help to help the librarians with their technology. I also have my technology staff, and I would like to introduce them to you. These are new additions to our technology department just recently. Mr. Tony Gonzalez, he's our Senior Systems Administrator. And Gilbert Vasquez, he's our Network Administrator. So these are the guys that do all of the work on our infrastructure. They're the ones that do the configurations on our NOC, our switches. They go out to the campuses, they run the fiber, they plan out the strategies for our infrastructure. So these are the guys that do a lot of work behind the scenes. They've set up training schedules for our in-house technicians. So we've done a lot of the things through the planning that these gentlemen have done for us. We also have some network specialists, that positions that were created recently as we took some of our in-house staff and we elevated them to a different level based on their education, their skill level, and the training. And Eric, who was here before, started that training, and then Eric has continued that, or Tony has continued that. We have our help desk, and she is probably the best liked person in this school district because everybody calls her help desk, and Maricela is an awesome young lady. She has a college degree, and she has no wishes to leave. She's very happy where she's at. She loves doing it, and we're very blessed to have her there. We have a webmaster that you see here. He's also part of the videotaping, Mr. Nick Van Winkle, and he is really doing an excellent job with the management of our web pages. He's bringing a lot of structure, a lot of ideas, and he really knows his stuff with web development and design. And he's gone around to the campuses, trained the people that are responsible for the campus web pages, gone to the departments and spoken to the directors. And so you will see a lot of consistency out of our web pages. And we want to maintain the original concept of having a clean web design, not busy, just, salteado, just a lot of things all over it. So we're doing our very best to control. People want us to put everything on the web page. I want you to put this, I want you to put that. And so I said, okay, go talk to Nick. And Nick already knows, all right, so he kind of settles it down and he finds a way to organize it. So we're doing, I think, a very good job. If you visit our web page regularly, I think you'll see that we've maintained that clean organization, that structure, and there's a lot of other things that maybe you haven't seen, but we'll point them out to you later on. And then, of course, we have the core of our department, our technicians. These are the guys that go out and they're the grunts. They're the ones that run the wiring, the cabling, that fix the printers, the computers, the monitors, that clean the equipment, that carry it, create new labs, move furniture. They have to befriend the custodians in the summertime because the custodians, they'll move their equipment out to clean their rooms, and then we have to make sure it goes back exactly where it was before. So it's a lot of structure that these guys are really involved. And we have some that are dedicated to food services, and we have another young man that's assigned strictly to CTE as a technician. Some of the things that I like to brag about is that we did bring the Dell Blade Center several years back, about 5 years ago, and that replaced the rack-mounted servers, huge monsters that we had there that were very old. And this Blade Center was designed for us by Dell engineers. They came, visited us, and they helped us to design the best possible network that we could afford for the money at that time. And by the way, we have a young man here, a gentleman, a representative from Dell, that is here as part of support for our initiative that we have later on. We also are very proud of our VDI project. This is the virtual desktop infrastructure where we host a desktop operating system within that creates like a virtual machine that runs on a server. And this saved us a lot of money, which we were then able to reallocate to other areas within our infrastructure, within our network, within storage. And we've had some issues, but we've grown with it, and we've been able to resolve a lot of those things. And every time that you find a solution to one thing, you find a problem to 2 or 3 others. And so with our new staff guys that we have here, they're going intensive training. We've got some scheduled training for this summer on improving what we're doing with our VDI project. We were able to, as people use the network, they find that when you use your computer and when it crashes, what you have on your hard drive, where you lose it, it's lost. And now people really, really enjoy saving their files to our storage array. And that means it's backed up every night, So if your computer crashes and you backed up your files to the Z drive, what we call, then it's safe. We can always restore those files to another computer. So that has been a big savior for our teacher and student data too. Before, when we had all physical machines, everything was stored just on the hard drive of the machines, and when they break, you're done. That's it. And you could lose years of work. We're also working on a disaster recovery system right now. And what that means is that even though we're backing up everything here to the NOC, well, if something should ever happen, an electrical shortage or something that would cause major damage to our central operation systems, well, since people are very dependent on their files, we are setting up a disaster recovery at another campus, at another location. So we selected Garfield because of the fiber network, and now consequently our NOC might have to be moved to the administration building, so we'll have to kind of work with that. But nevertheless, we're setting up a disaster recovery where we'll have a server set up over there to back up our files every night and then back them up to Garfield, so that's our site for disaster recovery in case anything ever happens. So it's just, we're so dependent on our technology, so dependent on the work that we put into our computers that it just makes sense for us to be prepared for what some might consider the inevitable, but it does happen. Whether it be electrical, whether it would be flooding, whether it be hurricane or anything like that, and I think a lot of school districts are moving in that direction. Some are doing it cloud-based. That might be an option sometime in the future, but the more you depend on cloud, the more expensive it gets, and we just kind of have to build our way to that point. We also just recently completed the Unity Call Manager, and this is the calling system that we use, and that means that it has a lot of different features, and one of the main ones is that Now, when schools call outside our district, they call a parent. What we set up is we ask them to give us, well, what number do you want the caller ID to reflect? Because before, when somebody called outside of our district, we had it to where it would dial, it would show 778-4000. Well, if you're a parent and you have children at 3 different schools, then you're guessing, well, who's the one that called if they didn't leave a message? So now we're able to actually project the call number that called the parent. And we're also able to, like the offices for the directors, we don't want their direct lines. And like sometimes teachers call from the classroom. Well, we don't want the phone number from the classroom to show up on the caller ID. We don't want parents calling directly to the classroom for them to go through a secretary or call. So, we kind of are now managing that a lot better. So that is a big improvement. And we also have the means to now set up a menu system where when you dial a number that's already in the directory, you can go through a menu. If you wish to contact the counselor, please dial 1. If you wish to contact the attendance office, please dial 2. And so we asked the campuses to give us a list of the types of menus that they want set up, and we're building some consistency because we don't want parents going through a whole menu, to wind up going all the way back to the beginning. So we're kind of setting some structure to that, but that's requiring a lot of work because we have 1,500 phones or so, Tony, more or less, that we have to touch. So, we're trying to organize it to where it's the menu system works well for us, and we're also able to do it in Spanish the same way. So if you dial in and quiere español, por favor, prima número 2, or something like that, and so they'll go to the Spanish menu. So we're looking for some pleasant voices, that people can call in and hear somebody's pleasant voice, and we already have a few selected throughout the district. So, okay. We've also done the infrastructure. When Durham Middle School started their VDI, the TIPS grant at Durham Middle School, the 7th and 8th grade, rather than contract out the wireless, and that would have cost, a boatload of money, we were able to do that in-house through our own technicians. We spent a couple of weeks in the evenings running cabling to the closets and setting up the drops and connecting the access points and making sure that it all worked. So we were able to do that, and the equipment itself cost about $64,000. And so you're talking about maybe 60 total access points that we cabled at what typical contractor charges is $350 per drop. So you can do the math, what it would have cost for 60 at 350. At high school last summer, we needed connectivity so that the principals would be able to walk around with their wireless devices and do their PDAS. We were able to do the high school. We also did the freshmen this past summer, and we set up, I think it was about 60 Cisco devices, and then this summer we look to be doing, hopefully, the high school, another 100. So we did the email migration to Office 365, so we're no longer hosting it. We don't have to worry about Exchange, and so this is no cost to the district, so that's kind of a neat service. We do support all of the technology needs for the district. We do the one-to-one initiative at the high school, the initiative at the freshmen, that last year we rolled up the laptops. And we have just some pictures here to show you. Let me see. Okay, this is a collage that was done by one of our, by our webmaster, and it just shows you a lot of students working on computers. see. This is another picture. We have students working on the computers. This is at freshman. And here you can see the evidence of the teachers actually setting up the websites for the students to visit. And we have another young man here that's actively working on the computer. So they have been I think, a great resource, and I think that hopefully if we can get our one-to-one initiative going at the high school, we'll have a lot of advantages. We're also working on the high school digital textbook, and that's kind of goes hand in hand with what's going on right now, and Libby Zamudio has worked with that.
Once again, Mr. Gabridian, Dr. Rios, members of the board, thank you for allowing us to do this. It is very exciting to see students when you go to the freshman campus or middle school to actually have their computers in front of them and actually working with whatever it is, resources, books, whatever we have. One of the most exciting things that have happened this year is the new adoption. All the books that we adopted are online. And the big difference between online and hard print is something like this. These are all the books that we have adopted in science and physics in high school. We have a tremendous amount of weight per backpack that causes a great concern for our students. And I know that parents are constantly talking to us about this. These are all adopted books that we picked up. And one of them is the chemistry book. And we have Mrs. Millender here that's going to show you how exciting it is to have these books online, because it goes from these amount of books
This is the device
to that. They will only have to carry that comparison to all these books. So at this time, Mrs. Millender has some presentation for chemistry.
The chemistry textbook comes with a lot of ancillary material. All the ancillary material comes online for the student, directly accessible from the website. I created a few samples here. First of all, they get animations. Animated different things from the textbook, and it shows them in the textbook where to go. And it also shows them online the same exact thing. They also have applications that have the built-in videos that we sometimes would access ourselves and download and hope that we would find them later in a file. It also has an interactive tutorial session, a personal tutor, for different things that you would not have had access to because of the constrictions of money and equipment. A student can also do a self-check on whether or not they're getting what they were supposed to get. That's very quick, and it can also be used by the teacher as a formative assessment very quickly, or as a formal assessment just as quickly. And another option is the downloadable interactive notebook, interactive lab book, and interactive homework that the student can access, download, save, finish, upload to either the teacher's website, the teacher's email, and other things. If you would like to see any of those, we can show you some of them.
The device that you were looking at, we're looking at trying to get, this is a protective case for it. It's kind of like an OtterBox for your phones with a protective shield to help protect it against breakage. And then we have this keyboard. This is specifically targeted for the teachers, since we plan to provide one for every teacher. And the students would get a wireless keyboard, because they're going to have it inside a case and it won't dock on there. So theirs will be a Bluetooth wireless. And maybe not for every student, but we were thinking maybe of getting class sets for particular classes, as the teachers were asking. Well, you know, those devices have a virtual keyboard that they can work on, but if they're sitting in a class, they can actually just set it up, and it does, you know, they can set it up right there, and they can work on their keyboard and do their projects and whatever.
Another concern that comes up sometimes is the internet at home. Well, this interactive book allows you to download any materials that the teacher assigns to the student, and the student can take the laptop home, does the work, brings it back to school, and uploads it to the teacher's file. It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. The next phase that we have, we're trying to connect with some consultants to see how we can get all these resources and books and everything for our teachers to be online, digital online. I'm going to show you a sample that we sent a consultant to see how they could help us out so that the teacher can click 3 times and get to a certain tab where it has all the resources, TEKS, online, videos, lessons, and other things that we would want on that last tab. This is extremely important because what we're trying to do this summer is incorporate everything that we have, everything, for online digital. As an example here, and I know this is very basic, it's a draft, I don't know too much about software, but I did manage to do something and figure out, show you more or less what we're trying to do. For example, on the home page right here, the teacher would go to ELA, math, science, or social studies, and then they would click on one of them, and the next tab would come up, and it would be first, second, third, kinder, whatever grade you choose. And I am going to pick first grade, so they would click on this, and then the 6 weeks would come up, and then they would click on, let's say, the first 6 weeks, and then all these tabs would come up. And just as an example, I picked first grade, but I know that this assessment is not first grade. I was just adding things there. The actual tests for the teacher is there. You can actually come back and go back to the tabs that I was showing you, and the online book is there, the lessons are there, resources, the scope and sequence is there. All our materials will be on this website just by having someone, those software consultants, create what I just showed you, the pathway to get to here. So we have the student site, but we also want the teachers to have this so that they don't have to also be carrying all these books. Of course, the book is a resource, it's not actually the curriculum. We have all the other things there that actually comprise the curriculum so that we can have the thing that we're all aiming for, which is quality of instruction. Any questions on that? Thank you.
In the research that we have done for the deployment of one-to-ones, 3 things come to the forefront in the successful deployments of one-to-one initiatives. And we've done a lot of reading and research. And the first one is that if you're going to do technology initiatives, then you must have the curriculum, okay? You must have the curriculum built up so that it is accessible not only to the teachers but also to the students. The second thing is that you must have professional development, and that we plan to have, because if the teachers and the students don't know how to use the devices, then pretty much it's a wash. And the third thing is the technology, which is what we're looking at here. So that's the research that we've done behind. It's not something of an accident that we have done here. So it's taken a lot of research. We've learned a lot from what happened with Delray Middle School, what we've done at Freshman, which I think has been a tremendous success. And we have a few other projects. We have a technology lending grant that we have one of the campuses applying for right now. And this will put technology in the hands of the students so they can actually take it home at the elementary level, including network connectivity, 3G or 4G services. So we're looking at different devices, at different options through 3G services with AT&T, just different options that the principal and her staff are looking at. We're looking at applying for Calderon Elementary. So it's about $10 million, and there's about 130 grants, and hopefully we'll be one of those 130 that gets it. And then we get to the plan itself, the initiative. What we're looking at here is, I had it really nice and pretty, and then Yanakani got her hands on it, and she did the financial stuff.
I made it even prettier.
So I'm going to let her take over here. We have a 5-year plan here before us that we want to present to you. We want to build on what Delray Middle School started 3 years ago with the TIPS grant. And I think that pretty much all of us have seen in many different ways that technology is here. It's in our classrooms, it's in our homes, it's in our work environment, it's everywhere, it's in our curriculum. So we would like to prepare a plan for Delray High School to trend that we started at the middle school, that we did at ninth grade, and now we need to do that for our high school students. So, Ms. Valdez here is going to fill you in on the details of what we have.
Good evening, Mr. Garavedian, Dr. Rios, board members. Before you, we have proposed a 5-year general fund budget technology allocation that would range around $1 million per year. This would build, of course, a recurring allocation into our budget that we would need to prepare for. The first initiative, as Mr. Casillas has presented, would be the one-to-one initiative. The first initiative would be the lease with Dell for those tablet devices at Del Rio Freshman and Del Rio High School. As you can see here, we have them labeled in the light purple color. The lease proposal is around $620,000, and it's a 4-year lease. And also, in order to initiate the proposal of the one-to-one initiative at the Del Rio High School and freshmen, we also have accessories that are included in the purchase, as Mr. Casillas mentioned, like classroom sets, the actual case to safeguard the device. And as you can see here, we began by presenting the 13-14, what we're proposing budget year. Later on, under the finance section, we will present that allocation of budget, and then also under the technology section, Mr. Casillas will present the consideration to approve the lease with Dell. So with our 13-14 budget, our plan is proposing $855,000 in order to initiate the 14-15 year with our one-to-one plan at high school, and also to pay for the insurance of the Kuno devices at the Del Rio Middle School since the TIPS funding has ended.
And continue the support at the freshmen too.
Right. In the 14-15 school year, we have the same proposal, which includes the lease of $620,000, but it also includes purchasing the computers that are needed at the elementary schools for the elementary teachers, and 1 more year of paying for the insurance of the Kuno devices. We plan, or we expect for the Kuno devices to have a life through our 15-16 year. In the 15-16 budget, continuing with the 4-year lease from Dell, we would also then initiate another lease, again with Dell, for the Del Rio Middle School, in order for Del Rio Middle School, freshmen, and high school to continue to have devices. We also, in order to plan for the future, would begin the wireless infrastructure at San Felipe Memorial Middle School. In the 16-17 budget year, our proposal will include as well the Dell lease for the high school and freshmen, and for Del Rio Middle School, and starting the initiation of the infrastructure for the elementary campuses to be wireless ready. Our plan then would be to take those devices that have already ended their useful life from the high school and recycle them or use them at San Felipe Memorial Middle School and the elementaries. Now, this is a 5-year plan, and what we did was we prepared it at roughly around $1 million, but it would be reevaluated every year if there are other funding sources, other opportunities with other funding sources.
Mr. Chavita has a question.
Yes, sir.
This is great, and we started something that we need to continue. But my question to you would be, how true are these numbers? Will you have to add to it as you go along from year to year? Or do you more or less know it's pretty close to what you're projecting?
Well, Mr. Casillas and I discussed that, and we do have the devices ranging, for example, at the high school, I think our price is around $1,000, $1,050. We know technology changes, but we do anticipate that there may be a change in price. But again, I don't know. We would then reevaluate at that time what other devices and other opportunities we have in order to stay within this range. But being that we would be reevaluating this budget every year, there could be other funding opportunities that we would explore.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
However, the initial lease that we enter into for the next 4 years will be fixed, because those devices that we get now, we expect them to last, or at least are leasing them for 4 years. So that amount would be fixed.
Right.
Now, 4 years from now, we may decide, well, they have a lifespan of 4 years, but we might extend them a 5th year before we enter into another lease. So whereas they recommend 4 years for the lifespan, we might take them to 5 or 6 years. I know that Mr. Casillas can attest for about computers that we've had in years past, where the life cycle or the replacement cycle is every 3, 4, or 5 years. Yet sometimes we've kept them 6, 7, and even recycled them to 8. I know that when I go to the high school, secretaries also always talk to me if I have refurbished computers that I'm sure have been around for longer than that. But for the next 4 years, that dollar amount should be fixed in terms of the devices.
So that's the addition to the technology budget. What we currently have, we've been able to maintain and support, and so adding approximately $1 million, we're able to do the initiatives at the high school, continue to support the middle school, continue to support the 9th grade, and then even not abandoning elementary, because elementary schools have been going through the refurbished computers, and so we want to make sure that the elementary teachers are taken care of. And one thing that I forgot to mention is, there's another device as part of the accessories, is a docking station for the teachers, where they will dock it in their classroom, and then it'll have a bigger monitor, it'll have the external keyboard, the mouse, the peripherals, like the Promethean board or anything. So then, when the teacher is done in the classroom, they can simply just dock this to their keyboard, and they can take it home, and work on it. So it adds a level of portability. It's a very sturdy device. We've looked at a bunch of different ones. When we went to Arizona, we saw that the districts that rolled out one-to-ones, there were cheaper ones, and they pretty much said, don't go cheap, because it's disposable at the end of the year. You wind up throwing half of them away and buying new ones. So we wanted to have something sturdy that has good support, good maintenance. It comes with 3-year accidental damage warranty with the price quote that we got. So, we thought this out left and right, in front, back, and front and back. So hopefully, we can make this a success. And so this is what we have to offer.
Mr. Overfelt has a question.
You talked there about rolling it into freshmen as well next year. They're this new one-to-one. And of course, last year, or this school year, we began the one-to-one with the laptops there.
Yes, sir.
What happens to all those that we spent all that money on? Are we going to roll them to a different campus, or?
The idea there was, when those students were provided those laptops, it was going to be for the duration of their high school. So they will continue with those devices, because at that time, these weren't available. We didn't have this. We went with the laptops. That's what everybody chose. And so those students will continue, and we've been able to maintain them. We've done the repairs, we've replaced, and so they will continue with those until their senior year. And so once they're done with those, then next year's, if this gets approved, then next year's seniors, they'll leave their devices, then we take those to freshmen, and we start it all over again. The seniors can just roll over for 4 years. So that's kind of the way that we're looking at trying to keep the technology recycled, to make sure that we get the most useful life out of it. And
So the current freshmen, when they become seniors, they'll have the Motorola StarTAC of these, while everybody else has the new fancy Samsung Galaxies and stuff. But that's
who knows, unless we decide to change on that.
change and give them.
Technology changes
But we're not
almost every year.
throwing away lots and lots of money on these, because they are going to be used.
No, those have proved very sturdy.
Okay.
They really have. It's a very good laptop, but we took the laptops and we took this device and this to the high school, and we had students going to the career center, and we had teachers and students came in during the lunch periods, and I would say 100% like this. They like the portability, they like the tablet type, and then we'll have also the keyboards if they want to do research in the classrooms, in the library. And so they really liked it a lot. So I said, okay, so they had a chance to review.
Other questions, Mr. Chavita?
I can see what you're talking about, Mr. Garcia, and I'm a real good example of that. My computer, you've seen it, and we talked about it one time. It's a dinosaur, but it still works. And we finally got another one, but I can see, appreciate what you're doing.
Microsoft DOS.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. There's a lot of features, and Mr. Franco was prepared to show you some, but I think we've kind of worn our time out here. But it'll interact with a TV, and that's the future of TVs in the classroom, smart TV. So, we're kind of headed in that direction, and it will be wirelessly connected. So, teachers can walk around the room, they can do whatever they need to. They don't have to be tied to a corner or to another area. Thank you.
Dr. Rios?
I just wanted to, in closing on this item, I want to share with the board the timeliness of going and expanding the one-to-one initiative, because we're starting the new cycle of textbook adoptions. If we were to adopt textbooks now and not go on the one-to-one initiative, then for the next 8 years, that's right, that there in front of Dr. Garza is what we would be purchasing. And because of the way textbooks are funded, we will not have the opportunity to buy digital textbooks for another 8 years. Then the following year, we adopt another set of textbooks. So every year that we push this out, it just pushes back how we can implement the digital classroom. I want to share with the board that this is a huge commitment from the district, but very respectfully, I'm excited that it's all of the departments in the school district that are moving forward. It's not just technology. It involves both our chief instructional officers and their departments. It involves solid conversations with our CFO to make sure that we can maintain this for the years to come. We've visited, we've researched, we've read, we've pushed back. We've even visited with different teachers that would be implementing it. And even though it is a lot of money, it is very exciting and it is very timely. And if we don't do this now, again, those textbooks that we buy, they're going to be those 50 pounds of books, and unfortunately, sometimes they'll stay in textbook rooms. So I hope that you'll consider this as we present this for your approval in the next few.
Ms. Lozano?
Just to clarify, if we go digital, every student who has a device will have a textbook.
Yes.
Okay. Because we know we've struggled with that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That'd be great.
The idea behind that is that it will have all of the interactive features that
Right.
Ms. Mylander demonstrated. We could go with class set, but they played it very smart. You can buy a class set and issue it out like that, but you don't have the interactive
resources.
features. You just have a PDF file.
That's definitely an asset.
Other questions? On the subject of the district's website, I especially like the fact that it has stayed clean. And it's been about a year, a little bit more than a year, because I know that was charged to administration as a goal, as a performance goal of the interim superintendent to revamp the website. And I think it went live, like last January, was it? Last February, I think it was?
It was
March,
like
April.
probably
Earlier?
March.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
closer to March.
All right.
Yes.
And yeah, it's still very easy to navigate. I think it's a much better website than what was there before. And remember, that's something that for most people is kind of the first face, right, of the district, or your first contact with the district.